Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to Inventing a Paycheck with Mary and Heather. I'm Mary Goulet.
And I'm Heather Ryder. And in this segment, we're talking about how to monetize a podcast and or a live radio show. And how many ways did we come up with? I said 8 earlier in the
I think I have 12.
show. 12. We have 12
Well,
ways.
and here's the truth. Very, very few people figure out how to monetize their podcast.
True.
To me, radio has always been the most fun, live radio, and we made money because we became known from it. Celebrity and credibility, if you're not focusing on building those two, you're most likely not going to make money. And I don't mean you have to be super popular, like I'm the best show person in the world. I've heard boring people make a lot of money.
Yes. And the other thing is your database. You need to constantly be building your database, your followers, your email database, the people that listen to you, engage with you. Make sure that you know who they are just as much as they know who you are.
Exactly. And to your point about the email database, I think you and I became super successful back in 2003, 4, 5, is because we had a live radio show. There was nothing called a podcast back in the day. We were live internet radio.
Yes.
And when someone called us, we got to know them.
Well, and here's the other thing that I want to say about when we did that. We did the live. Think about all the tools that we have at our disposal today with social media and all that. When we were doing our radio show, we didn't have any of that. When we started in 2002, there was no Facebook, there was no Twitter, there was no Instagram, there was none of that, right?
It was an expensive website and a newsletter.
And we still built a small database. And even with a small database, you can still monetize a radio show or a podcast without a huge number of people. We had less than 1,500 people that we were sending an email newsletter to, and we made $45,000.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Guy in the back room.
Yeah. Just this is Wade.
Oh, hi, Wade again.
I help produce the show.
See, we invited him once on the show, and now he's going to be here forever.
He raised his hand.
Guy in the control booth with his hand in the air.
Yes.
Exactly. I just want to really emphasize this point because part of getting used to this is recognizing everything that we were familiar with about media in the old days is upside down and backwards when it comes to the internet. The old world of radio and television was broadcasting to the lowest common denominator a very generalized message because you only had 3 or 4 choices, so you settled on, well, it's close enough. Where with the internet and a billion web pages, you don't settle for close enough. You go to exactly what you want. And so as the media producers, we need to embrace that and double down on it. So I'm sure one of the things you guys are going to be mentioning is sponsorships and such. So the sponsor needs to be closely aligned with what you're doing.
Yes, because the sponsor then becomes your partner. Really.
Exactly. You guys aren't selling a kid on a street corner flipping a sign that you hope somebody kind of notices. You're selling a personal introduction to your clubhouse. And it's just a completely different dynamic, so it reinforces what you guys are saying. It's not about 1 million listeners for a penny apiece. It's about 1,000 listeners that love you so much and you're giving so much value, they'll give you $10, $15 a piece.
Well, and I totally agree with that because also in the old broadcasting model, you had only, like you mentioned, only 3 to 4 choices, but you also only had 3 to 4 minutes to get your message across. And then also at that time, it was a one-way communication.
Exactly.
So when you were broadcasting, you're just communicating out. But this is all of a sudden, because of technology, it's two-way communication now. This is not just a one-way deal.
It's all about, in business writ large, which this is a piece of, building relationships with appropriate communities.
Well, and also niching down. I mean, if you scroll through iTunes and look at the different categories and then go within the categories, like we were talking in the last segment, car talk, super popular because anyone who was interested in a car knew they were going to get that from that show.
Yes.
And they had callers.
And they were going to be entertained.
And with our radio show, whenever somebody, I mean, we help mom entrepreneurs. And back then, it worked. It was super cool, and people would call us. Some would be lurking and never call because they were shy. Then we would shout out to them, "Hey, Linda, call us back. You called us last week. Call us again."
But we never had 1 million listeners, and we never needed 1 million listeners.
Nope.
We never wanted 1 million listeners.
We wanted a relationship, and I think when we got our
Yes.
first book deal, we had maybe 1,200 people on our email database.
Right.
That was it.
And then we had a book deal,
But we interacted with them.
and we had a message.
Yep.
And
And we were funny.
And we were hysterical. Just ask us. So, to your point, also, Wade, about the sponsorship, I think when you're saying make sure that your sponsor is aligned because they become a partner, and even if that's how the people listening will hear your sponsor. They'll think of the sponsor, even if you don't think of the sponsor as a partner, your listeners will. So you better start thinking of your sponsor as a partner from the get-go. Correct?
100%.
See how smart we are.
See, he said 100%.
So for me, like, if anyone wants to get into audio and you just want to get used to your voice, because a lot of people don't like the sound of their own voice at first.
It's weird.
It is weird. Remember the old days in the answering
It's still weird,
machine?
I think, sometimes.
Nah, I'm cool with it now.
Well, I'm fine with it, but I think it's still weird to hear yourself and you're like, oh, that's what I sound like sometimes. Yeah, it's
Yes,
weird. It's
exactly.
weird.
You can start out on anchor.fm where you just put the app on your phone and click on. But here's the thing. They do have some things that you can kind of interact with whomever is listening to you, and you'll see that. But being live on radio and doing your own thing, I mean, I'll never forget the first time I came into WS Radio. I was a guest on Roberta Shaler's show. I sat down, put the headphones on, intro came in, she said her opening, and then she addressed me and I spoke. I'll never forget this. When I spoke into the mic with the headphones on, I remember thinking in my mind, move over. This is my home. And that was 17,
You were
18 years
addicted.
ago. Totally.
Yes.
It's amazing to create community by talking.
With conversation.
Yep. Okay.
So we're going to try and get through at least some of the 12. If we don't get through all of the 12 and you want to know how the different ways to, because the other thing is you got to pick and choose from these different ways to try and you don't try and monetize all different 12 ways. You choose one or two at the beginning, and then you just build from there. But in sponsorship is definitely one of those. This midroll.com has a great little tool that shows you how much podcasters can make based on sponsorship with your listeners and your engagement. The other point I want to make about DIYing it.
Yeah.
If you DIY things, sometimes you spend way too much time and way too much money than you would have done just hiring it professionally done from the first place. Like doing it this way.
Too much in the weeds.
Too much in the weeds. Anyway, so that's sponsorship.
Well, okay. So everybody's like, how do
one way.
How do I get people to pay for commercials on my show? I would not necessarily focus on that because you got to build a following. The numbers are going to show it. Your email database will get you people to invest in your show. Product placement,
which are mostly live reads.
That's
on your show.
Everywhere now.
It's everywhere.
It's not in the commercial.
Paul Harvey used to be the first one that you did that a long time ago. And then it was like he was kind of breaking it was a little taboo what he was doing, but live reads are now. So sponsorship is maybe a pre-recorded commercial that runs, or maybe they come on for an interview. But the product placement is the live read of the.
So a lot of live reads are done toward the end of the segment. So if you're concerned, they might be talking about something and they segue into the live read.
Yeah, you know how people are like, you hear radio show hosts like talking about the best mattress, the best sleep they ever had? That's like a product placement. But proceed with caution because it is your reputation. When it's your voice, then
you're endorsing.
Be careful. Make sure that you are behind that product 100% because it is your reputation.
And sometimes I hear them like LifeLock or something, and I'm like, dude, you're talking about this because you're being paid to talk about it. It doesn't sound totally genuine.
Right.
So if you can find something that aligns with you, your show, your personality.
And that will add value to your listener.
Exactly.
Always think about your listener on the other end. What adds value. That's what we're doing on this show. We're always going to try to be bringing things of value to you.
Right, and not wasting your time. Here's the other thing. You're going to find that when you're doing a radio show and whatever topic you have, anymore you can go online and source maybe a coffee mug or a T-shirt. Because if you're really good at what you're doing, people want to take you home.
So you can sell your own products.
Yep.
And you can have them drop shipped. We have some great companies that we know of that have this kind of e-commerce where you can have your logo or your saying or your whatever, your message put on T-shirts, journals, books, mugs.
Yeah, so when you're... Oh, jeez.
Holy
That
buckets.
fast?
Did we only get out 3
2 or 3?
4?
Okay.
We'll do a couple more.
We'll do some more in the next segment. You're listening to Inventing a Paycheck with Mary and Heather. We'll be right back.
Thank you. By listening, you help prove that content marketing works. You need to engage your customers. We provide the solution. Contact Wade at WSRadio.com or call 866-WS-RADIO.
If you heard that sound, you probably are eligible for insurance from Navy Mutual, insuring the men and women of the Navy, Marines, and Coast Guard. Here's what one policyholder, retired Navy Commander Thomas Dade, had to say.
Navy Mutual is the best insurance decision I ever made. I wish you had a savings plan available that earned the rates my Navy Mutual insurance has been earning.
Navy Mutual Aid Association, started by military members in 1879, serves active, reserve, and retired military today. Navy Mutual honors our military by providing them affordable life insurance with the features they need without fine print, sales fees, or military service restrictions. Value, integrity, trust, and stability are the cornerstones on which our commitment to you and your loved ones are built. Call Navy Mutual at 1-800-628-6011 or NavyMutual.org for your personal life insurance plan consultation. 1-800-628-6011 or NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
Which sandwich is healthy and tasty? Which sandwich can come on bread or in a bowl? Which sandwich comes 51 different ways, so it's always your way? A which sandwich. Stop into our shop in Hazard Center. We're upstairs from the Hazard Center Digiplex. Bring in your movie ticket. We will add a free drink and chips to your sandwich order. Or order online at whichwich.com, and we will have it ready and waiting. WHICH, whichwich.com.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, VinVillage.com, where wine lovers connect. Be sure to tune in weekly to Vin Village Radio for exclusive, in-depth interviews with the who's who in wine and food.
I can't speak more highly about Progressive Medical Center and how they've helped me get my health back, get my energy back. And Dr. Agoli, when I first came to you guys, you found a thyroid problem, and I had no clue, but that's really common with a lot of your patients, right?
Underactive thyroid is the most misdiagnosed condition in the United States. According to the American Academy of Endocrinology, well over 25% of the population is not being diagnosed properly. It's because of the testing parameters. If you go to your traditional doctor, they could be missing a key component. If you have crushing fatigue, inappropriate weight gain, cold hands, cold feet, losing hair, lack of concentration, even headaches and migraines could be caused by underactive thyroid. At Progressive Medical, we get to the root cause of the problem because we are integrative, and integrative medicine is good medicine. We use a combination of medication, natural supplements, diet, nutrition, lifestyle modification, and that's what makes it so unique because we tailor it to your personal needs, and that's interesting because you are tailored.
Yes, and if you want to get your energy back, be the most vibrant version of yourself, you got to get to Progressive Medical Center. I'm so glad I went. Contact them today through progressivemedicalcenter.com.